it can be surprising that when you're dealing with professional people, professional entrepreneurs, business people, individuals with really accomplished careers and education and pursuits, that you can be dealing with people who are also dealing with a fair amount of anxiety about various things. I guess it's understandable that business is high stakes and that you can be very stressed about things. But often I will encounter someone who is really overthinking what's going on. You know, they have too many facts, they have too many details, they know too much. And there's so much going on in their mind that sometimes they just can't focus on whatever they're doing or focus their way to another place. Now, I have to admit, I've been an overthinker in my life. And I think one of the byproducts of that is looking at things and trying to see what's underneath, what can I learn from it, and is there a path that I can take or plan that I can develop that will help me get the results that I want. So I'm very familiar with the idea of overthinking, and I think I'm just about cured of that. I think I no longer overthink, and I think I'm pretty even keeled about my life, my business, what I'm working on. Just try to be very centered about what I do. Often people will have regrets, they'll have worries, they'll have fears, they'll have anxieties. And all of those things will get in the way of having the life and business that they want. And it's common. This is a common thing. A lot of people have this, and sometimes for good reason. You know, they make a misstep in their career. They invest in something that doesn't work. They develop a partnership with someone and they're the wrong partner. They should have seen something coming and they didn't see it coming. They thought things were going to work out and it didn't work out. So there's lots of reasons always to be concerned and to be worried. But the reality is that concern and that worry doesn't solve the issue. In fact, what it does is it aggravates the issue. And while there are a lot of people out there that say you should go deeper into that, you should be more aware of that, that isn't my recommendation. You see, a lot of times people are concerned about mistakes. They're concerned about how people perceive them. They're concerned that by comparison, they're not where they should be. They're concerned about competition. They're often looking at the downside of what's happening in their life or business, and looking at the downside causes them to see more downside, and they're questioning and questioning and questioning. And sometimes they're talking with people about it, and then people who are listening to it, and they're kind of hyper-activating this whole thing because they're so focused on it. Now, when I work with my clients and they have a level of anxiety about where they are in their business, my approach is really to take them through 5 steps that will shift their thinking, shift their focus, shift their approach, so that they can become on a different footing, different stance. It isn't to delve into it. It isn't to spend a lot of time acknowledging the problem or exploring why you think that way. Frankly, that's irrelevant. You know, you are at a place where you've got to make some decisions. And I know I've been there. I've been places where I have to make a decision quickly. Sometimes in 24 hours, sometimes less than that, where I've had to make a decision. I've had to make a choice. and I've had to pick a direction. So I'm here to share with you some ideas on how you can not overthink, but how you can get yourself in a different place so that you are not stalled, but you are making some progress. Now, the first thing that you have to consider in this process is what you want. Now, I know that might sound like an obvious statement, but when you are worried, when you are dealing with fear and anxiety, what you're really doing is spending a lot of time considering what you don't want. Well, what happens if this goes wrong? What happens if this doesn't work? What's wrong with my ability? Why can't I do this? What's missing? All of those things are what you're considering. And you are drifting away from the idea of being, doing, and having what you want. After all, that's the important thing. There's something we want in life and something we want in business. And the issue is, how do we get ourselves in a better place to have that and to experience that? So the first thing is, what do you want? Get back acquainted with what you want. And so the first step is really to say to yourself, well, what I want is a business that feels fulfilling, a business that's making money, a business that's helping people, a business that I enjoy going to, a business that is profitable, a business that can pay its bills, a business that is thriving, a business that's in a great industry. Start to think about what it is that you want. Now, I have to tell you that will instantly put you in a different mood. Now, there are some people that even considering what they want, they will have to interject some negative ideas. But it's worth learning how to focus on what you want and to get into the feeling of what you want and what's important to you. And I would say, even imagining it, putting yourself in a different place, taking a moment to slow down and to really think that through and try to get the heart from beating so rapidly and really considering, wow, here's what I want. Wouldn't this be nice? This would be great to have this. Oh, I could just imagine that. Think about what you want. Now, the second thing is to really think about the positive idea connected with that. What's the positive idea? Now, it might surprise you, but there is a positive idea always that surfaces in the midst of anxiety, in the midst of challenges, but we often downplay it and dismiss it and don't think it's relevant. And so what I want you to do is to think about what's productive, what's practical, what's pragmatic, what should you do? I can remember wanting an apartment in a particular neighborhood and realizing that I didn't have the money at the time. I was very young in business, working on Wall Street, and I didn't have the money for this particular apartment. In fact, I had a fire where I had lived about a year before, and I was kind of getting myself resettled. I was living with family for a little while, and a friend of mine who worked with me said, "Hey, I'm going out to look at an apartment in the particular neighborhood. And why don't you come on out with me afterwards? We'll have drinks or something. And I don't want to ride out there alone. Why don't you come with me?" And I had this feeling that, oh my God, he's going to be able to get a new place, and I wish I could do that. I'm just not at a place where I could do that. And he had to persuade me to do it. Now, the positive idea was, go look at an apartment. Go enjoy the ride with your buddy. Experience that. It'll be positive. Don't think of the negative that I don't have this, I'm not prepared, and all this stuff. Well, the bottom line is I took the ride out with him. And when I took the ride out there, we looked at the apartment. And when we looked at the apartment, the first thing I realized when I got out of the subway was that this is the neighborhood I wanted to live in. I was shocked that the very place we were going, wasn't really paying attention. We were talking on the subway, And when we got out, I said, wow, this is the neighborhood that I always imagined living in. We walked into the building. We looked at the apartment. He decided that he wasn't going to take the apartment. And right before we left, the super in the building came down, or was shaking our hands when we were leaving, I should say. And someone was coming in an elevator and it said, oh, Albert, I want to talk to you. And I said to the guy, after looking at the apartment and feeling good about this, I said, here's my business card. If anything opens up, let me know. The very next morning, he called me. And he said, you know, the woman that was coming down the elevator was telling me that she's been relocated. And we've got a list to get in this building. But you're a nice young man, and I decided I was going to let you know. Now, I still didn't have the money for that apartment. But I said to him, after having a conversation with my sister, in fact, I think I might have said to him right away, oh, yes, I want it. I'll take it. And then I called my sister, and I remember having a conversation with her. I said, I'm not going to be able to afford to do this. And she said, hey, look, I've got some money I can loan to you. And then as I started to think this through, I realized that based on my pay and pay periods and back then I was working overtime, I got paid overtime, and I said, wow, here's how much I'll have, here's how much she'll give me, I can just make the deposit and this and that, and still I had a salary, an income issue. Well, the fellow who I went out there with told me about a week later that he had been recruited by another company, and he invited me to interview with that company, and we both wound up going to the new company and both got substantial raises in the process. So by focusing on the positive idea, I wound up getting what I want and stepped away from the anxiety, the fear, the worry, the angst, and I got what I wanted. The third thing is to, throughout the process, develop some supportive self-talk. We're always talking about ourselves. We're always talking to ourselves. And I was saying to myself, well, do I really want to go out there tonight? And a lot of people are talking to themselves, why am I in this situation? Oh my God, I can't believe this. Things don't work for me and all that. Well, that's the complete opposite of what you should be doing. Your self-talk should be trying to find a way to take that positive idea and reinforce that idea. Well, it's good. I'm going to enjoy going out there, and this is a good thing because I'll get to see this neighborhood. I'll get to see this apartment. Well, André, give yourself a break. You've done really well. You had this setback, and you're saving money now, and things are really progressing for you. Just you didn't even have this job a few months ago. Start to talk to yourself in different ways. Well, I'm in business. The business is making some progress. It might not be doing as fast as I'd like to, but it will be. I just have to keep working on it. And so give yourself some self-talk. And there are a couple of ways to do that. I love audio. I love to pick up my phone, do a voice memo, and say something positive to myself. I love listening to positive audio books and affirmations and meditations. I love video. I love positive videos like this to watch, to reassure you. I love journaling, writing down positive ideas about the situation and about what I want and the positive things that are going on. I love great music. Get yourself into a great mood where you're stepping away from the anxiety, you're stepping away from the questions, the challenges, the difficulties, and you're just saying, let me relax. I need the money for this particular thing, but snapping my fingers is not going to make it happen. So let me step away from that. And the combination of deciding what you want, looking at the positive idea, and then distracting yourself somewhat will put you in a different place psychologically. Now, the fourth thing is to act on inspiration. You're going to get some ideas in this process. Someone's going to suggest something to you. There's going to be an on-ramp to some new pathway, some new expressway. You're going to have something you haven't acted on, and you're going to say, well, you know what? I didn't even try that. I didn't even mail this. I didn't call that person. I didn't answer that email. I didn't respond to them. I didn't try to negotiate. I didn't even say to the person that, didn't even tell them what the issue was. And maybe I just should talk to them about it. All of those things are ways that we will talk ourselves out of what we want. When in fact, if we can discipline ourselves to learn the power of positive self-talk and applying ourselves by taking action with inspiration, we can get to different places. And the fifth thing might be controversial, but it is perhaps the most important thing, and that is trusting that whatever happens, however it happens, you're being led to what you want in the right way. You've shifted your thinking. You've gotten practical and pragmatic. You've reinforced your dialogue, your self-talk positively. You've acted. Now you've got to trust that that path that you take is going to lead you where you want to go. So I had to trust that when the opportunity was presented to get that apartment, that opportunity was something that I would be able to take advantage of. I didn't say, oh, no, I can't do this. I said, yes, I can do it. And then I had something else, I guess, to be anxious about. But as I started to get practical and thought it through, and I said, well, let me call my sister and see what she thinks. And as I started to talk with her about it, she said, oh my God, you should do this. That'll be a great place. That's a wonderful neighborhood. Yeah, I've got some money to give you for that. Go ahead, tell them yes. Move on it. And so you can it's interesting how people faced with the same issue will look at it differently, right? But you take that inspiration that you have and you continue to go with it. So if you use these strategies when you're overthinking, when you have fear, stress, anxiety, I'm pretty confident that you'll be in a different place. I think that often our stressors are signs that we're dealing with issues that matter to us and that are important to us. But they shouldn't stop us, slow us down, and dismantle us. They should empower us. 5 steps. What do you want? What's the positive idea? Pragmatic, practical, productive, supportive self-talk. Get some tools, some audio, some video, some music to support you in the process. Number 4, act on your inspiration. And number 5, trust that the path is the right one. And that even if you go down that path and it looks like it's not what you want, you might go around the curve and see, oh, wow, look at where it led me. I've had that happen so many times in my life, and I'm certain it will happen for you. If you like this tip, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to comment about this. Let me know how these ideas resonate with you. Share it with someone in your network that needs these kind of thoughts and ideas. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have a lot here and a lot more coming. I'll see you next time.